make a move and the bunny gets it.
I said, put the bunny back in the box. Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?
Psychically, I'm very well endowed.
I wanna know what you're thinking. There are some things you can't hide. I wanna know what you're feeling. Tell me what's on your mind.
Hey there, welcome to the character morgue, where we do autopsies, where we take characters apart and see what makes them tick. Well, tonight, I knew I was probably going to be a little late, so I tried to choose somebody that I could probably do if I had some very little preparation, but actually kind of came in sideways. I'm still wet from the rain, and I didn't get hardly any prep, but just the memory, happens to have a lot of memories of Mr. Daredevil. So hopefully I'm going to be able to, channel some of that tonight. Well, anyway, let's see. I think we're live. We are live right now, I believe. So fingers crossed. All right. Okay. Well, we had some rains in the area, so I may be a little lower on internet than usual. So let me know if I'm roboting or anything like that. I won't be able to tell. So anyway, absolutely no eyeballs according to StreamYards, but we'll proceed. And so let's start with the first cut. So Matt Murdock, Daredevil, is a unique Stan Lee style character. Now, what I mean by that is the name is a alliteration, Matt Murdock, and he has like a kind of a dichotomy, I'll say, a reverse kind of thing about him, in that he is a devout Catholic, but his suit is a devil. He is a vigilante, and yet he's also a defense attorney. And that's one way that some of the best characters get created, is there's like opposite things about them that make them intriguing. So he basically he's been one of the best street vigilante characters for Marvel for decades, since the late 60s when he was spawned. Also, a kind of a cool thing is that the neighborhood that he kind of patrols is called Hell's Kitchen. So it's just clever all the way around, really. Let me make sure I'm live here. Yeah, okay. I'm live. All right. Sometimes I have to check. All right. So next thing to do is to do a start with the character history. Bear in mind, when I do these character histories, I don't go like into all the later iterations. What I basically do is I cover the primary history, kind of like the bare basic, that the things that make them who they are. Like Matt Murdock basically is born to a battling Jack Murdock, who happened to be a boxer, kind of a down on his luck boxer, and he was also born. His mother was evidently a nun, or at least she became a nun when he left. When she left, but his father was killed by gangsters for refusing to throw a fight. But after he basically, what gave Matt his abilities is that he was caught up in an accident when he was young, and it's been retconned and it's kind of been retold multiple times. But about the only thing is that he got sprayed in the eyes by some kind of mysterious chemical that gave him special abilities like superhuman senses, agility, reflexes, stamina, coordination, and balance. But he didn't give him super strength. It just gave him like a lot of coordination, a lot of balance, and but it also took his eyesight. So he's legally blind. And that's what really makes him unique in a lot of ways. It's called the man without fear, but the trick is that he's blind, so he can't see like the damage like you, or the danger coming like you and I could. And it makes people that watch him think that he's fearless, but he might not be able to see something, so he doesn't heed it, or he doesn't flinch from it like we would. And so it looks like he's basically a man without fear. Now, after his father was killed by gangsters, he was an orphan. Eventually, he fell into the tutelage of a blind sensei known as Stick. He trained Matt to become a highly skilled martial artist. Some people have said it's ninjutsu. They've had Stick be an ex-hand member. But either way, Matt was a very, very good student because because of his enhanced senses and his like balance and his ability to do impossible acrobatics and land on like the narrowest of ledges and things like that. That's just going to make you the nastiest martial artist possible. I mean, the only thing that separates most martial artists is their physical agility and their balance and their muscles, their muscle tone. And he had all of those things in spade. Matt's Daredevil could pretty much exchange blows with just about any fighter in the Marvel universe. It's been said that he might be maybe the greatest hand-to-hand combatant in the Marvel universe, outside of Captain America, who's always been like the pinnacle. Now, Taskmaster is also up in there, but Taskmaster basically he borrows everybody else's ability, so you can't really say that that's his ability. But anyway, so Matt, somehow, by hook or crook from hard work, he graduated from Columbia University as a lawyer. Okay, and then he went into law practice with his best friend from Columbia, Foggy Nelson, and they formed Nelson and Murdock. And Karen Page comes in later, but she's not really jejune to everything that happens. She's like really important later, but we're not going to get quite to her because she's kind of like just a girlfriend that he had out of many. What's up, Wrangler? Hey, man. Good to see you, buddy. My ride or die. My one person that shows up every night. So I appreciate you, man. But okay. Now, Matt also, some retcons were Matt's father was beaten to death by a very large individual who was coming up in the ranks at that time. And a guy named Wilson Fisk. Now, Wilson Fisk is also known as the Kingpin. And I think that they first had it in the 2000 and whatever movie with Ben Affleck. I think Wilson Fisk beating his dad to death was the first time anybody's seen it was in that movie, but later they put it in the comics. So I don't know if that's canon in all situations, but it sets up a pretty interesting relationship. But the Kingpin is basically his primary protagonist. He's also protagonist for Spider-Man, but more so Daredevil. And so Daredevil and the Kingpin kind of have a really strange relationship. You see this a lot in the television series, but it's in the comics too, in that Wilson Fisk is kind of like annoyed by Daredevil, but at the same time, he's kind of oddly affectionate towards Daredevil. He's kind of like, he's a pest that I won't rid of, but he's kind of like my pest, you know. And Wilson is so brilliant, and he has so few people that stand up to his mechanizations, that finding somebody that does, you know, kind of like gave him kind of a cachet with the Kingpin that very few people ever accomplished. But so the Kingpin and him had a lot of run-ins over the years, and Matt was able to match wits with him multiple occasions. And Matt also defends people, but he also puts people in jail. And he has, upon occasion, he has like beats somebody down, but then he's the court-appointed attorney for that very same person, and so he winds up defending them. You know, that's happened to him more than once. So there is kind of like a inherent conflict of interest, you know, with his vigilantism and his defense attorney day job. The best of Daredevil, Rogues Gallery from Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery. Yeah, he does share a lot of Rogues Gallery with Spider-Man. That is true. And in a way, he's in Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery because there's been multiple times where Spider-Man has felt manipulated and used by Matt Murdock, because there's another aspect to Matt's personality, in that his affiliation with the Catholic Church. He is like Catholic to the core. You know, he's that Irish Catholic. You know, he's got the red hair. He's got the you know, the cross around the neck, the like guilt, lots and lots of guilt. Okay, so yeah, I mentioned he's a complicated character. He's a very complicated character, but so he's just a man of contradictions. All these wonderful, awesome contradictions that just make him intriguing. Physically, probably his biggest antagonist is an individual, an assassin, who prides himself on not being able to miss. His name was Bullseye, and Bullseye is really one of the best protagonists in Marvel Comics, I believe. When he's written right, when he's written correctly, he is a handful. Okay. And, you know, one of the most iconic moments was that when Bullseye killed Elektra, who was Daredevil's main squeeze at that time. And, you know, there's a scene where he takes her own sai and stabs her with it through her, and the point comes out the back. And some people saw that as some kind of oddly sexual thing, which I always thought was weird. Why is a woman being stabbed to death sexual for you? Weirdo, you know, but it is what it is. But it's basically evidently Matt always thought his mother had died, but later on he finds out that his mother went into becoming a nun. So he finds that out in the born again like arc, because he gets really severely hurt, and he has a nun restores, kind of like nurses him back to health, and it turns out that's his mother. But the oncoming truck, he saw a blind man walking towards an oncoming truck. That's pretty common. They pushed him out of the way, and a radioactive isotope spilled out, striking him across the face and blinding him while recovering in the hospital. He discovered hearing, smell, taste, touch, amplified to superhuman degrees. He also developed his radar sense that formed a mental picture of his surroundings. So, yeah, his mother's name was Maggie. Okay. But so, okay, that's pretty much all the salient details of Matt Murdock. Wrangler, if you, for a detail I left out that you want to be added in, go ahead. Feel free to let me know. All right, hold on a second. It wouldn't be too much of a stretch to turn him into a paladin, but I doubt Marvel wants to give Christianity any spotlight at all outside of being Matt Murdock's or Kurt Wagner's faith. No, not at this point. I wouldn't trust Marvel to do anything with Christianity these days. I would definitely say not going to happen. Anyway, so that's pretty much the salient details, everything you need to kind of know about Matt Murdock. Now, pulp or noir? Okay, this is my friend Wagner's favorite category. But pulp or noir? Okay, now pulp, in my the way that I look at writing, a character falls into two categories. It's a binary, as it were. I know that a lot of people don't like that binary word, but it's you're either this or you're that. Okay, now pulp characters, they have they basically have a set of ethics that they follow. They have a set of rules, have a philosophy, something that they adhere to that makes them who they are. And they do not, they will not stray from that. They also usually have some kind of supernatural thing about them. And now, noir characters are very human, They're situational ethics. Essentially, they go with the flow. You know, they're very mercenary, and they will, flip flop, depending on who they're around. They'll be heroic if they're around heroic people, but if it, they keep their options open. But that's pretty much a pulp or noir situation. Now, what is Matt Murdock? I think everyone could probably see this coming. Now, Matt is definitely pulp. Now, he's a believer. He's Catholic. So he adheres to the precepts of Jesus Christ. And he believes in the cat, kind of like, he knows his catechism, he knows his church history and things like that. And he's pretty much, Daredevil is the pulpiest. Yeah. Daredevil is definitely, because of his Christian faith, because of his belief in the justice is blind. Daredevil's blind. I mean, there's a lot of these connections there. But he believes in the system, but he also believes that the system doesn't cover all eventualities. It doesn't. It's not allowed to operate properly, and so when it doesn't operate properly, he will intervene. And there's a series once upon a time about a vigilante who's a judge by day. I can't remember the name of it, but he had this phrase that, justice may be blind, but it can see in the dark. I think it might have been called Dark Justice or something like that. Something corny, but the guy was obviously a Daredevil type. But that's pretty much, he believes in justice. It's like he overcame Kilgrave's influence out of sheer will and moral compass, right? Yeah, the Purple Man tried to change him, tried to get him to do his bidding, and Matt was one of the few that he couldn't do that to, because Matt was just, he belongs to another. And his belief, his faith, he and Captain America are two of the ones that are really, really hard for psychics to alter or to change their minds or to even break into their minds, because they both have a very cut and dried value system that makes them almost impossible to break them out of it, because it's who they are. And so outside of Captain America, I'd say that Daredevil, Matt Murdock, is probably around maybe the most, he might be the second pulpiest behind Captain America. Now Matt will beat somebody to an inch of their life if he feels like that's what it takes. So he has that darkness to him. He can, the same darkness that caused his father to become a leg breaker for the mob is in Matt too. And so Matt has been known to like I said, with Spider-Man, he manipulated Spider-Man, broke their friendship for quite a while, and he will do what he has to do. But at the end of the day, he does it because he believes in justice, and he has this Christian morality that he falls back on. Same with Deadpool and the mind control, but for a completely opposite reason. Yeah. People that try to get into Deadpool's mind regret the trip. They definitely regret the trip. Noir. In case you're wondering, Deadpool's definitely noir. He's about the noir as you can get. But anyway, so what are the writing challenges for Daredevil? So with Daredevil, you have a very convoluted, very complicated, often contradictory character who is also has like a disability. In his case, because of his other enhanced senses being enhanced, it's not as much of a disability as some, but he's not able to see colors. He's not able to see nuance. He's going off a radar. And so he's blind. And so how do you write somebody that has a disability without them becoming a victim? It's a very fine, kind of a fine, like pathway to walk. These days, when you get disabled characters in comics, they're usually so damn obnoxious, and everybody owes them. They kind of know. Sorry, my internet conked out. I told you that because of the storm, I thought that we might have issues. Evidently, we do. So anyway, so hopefully I can stay on long enough to finish this. But the writing challenges are simple. To write somebody with that deep of a personal faith, there's some nuance to somebody with faith. It's like radar sense lets him feel everything part with, but not better than Spider sense. Yeah. In some ways, it's more advanced. Sometimes, in some ways, it's not. Spidey's has a time and space element that's not quite understood. He anticipates things while Daredevil can hear them coming. So it's a slightly different thing. But in some ways, it's better. Sometimes, some ways, Spider-Man's is way better. But when you go to write somebody like Daredevil, it's somebody that has like his abilities and his disabilities. You have to definitively know what he's capable of and put a cap on it. And you also need to understand how his disabilities affect him, and don't follow the siren song of minimizing that disability, because the moment that you make him less disabled, then he loses a lot of what makes him Daredevil. And so if you got a character who has a limp or something like that, or can't, there's characters out there that I'm not going to mention some of the disabled characters they've created recently, but there's characters that like lost an arm or something like that, and they have to, like Cable has some disabilities because of the technoviruses taking him over, and so there are times where he's really vulnerable, and there's some people write him overpowered, but he's another character that has a disability. But it all comes down to prep time, okay? It all comes down to, if you're going to give a character a disability, you need to know what the disability is, and you need to know how they're getting around it. And you need to put a cap on what they're capable of. That's realistic, or people will lose verisimilitude. And so most people don't write themselves challenges like that. Most people, unless they want a victimhood thing, a victim narrative, and they'll write somebody with a wheelchair that can lecture everybody, which happens. But like Professor Xavier, I don't know why, but Xavier, being in a wheelchair, by having the strongest mind on the planet, or the most powerful mind on the planet. That's an interesting thing, you know. But at times where they've given him his legs back, you know, somebody that's going to, yeah, Cable would be ridiculously powerful telekinetic if he was to hold the techno-organic virus back at Autopsy. Yeah, right. When you see X-Men, Cable's a version of Cable that doesn't have the techno-organic virus, his powers burned him out. So maybe having the techno-organic virus was a good thing. Just saying. But, you know, it's like Xavier, you know, some people like, I don't want to ride him in a wheelchair, so I'll give him his legs back, you know. But it's really interesting, you know, when you have a character that has a disability like that, you know, or like Kurt Wagner's devil-like appearance, and yet he's a Catholic. And he has a deep, abiding faith. He and Matt could probably go to church together. But he has his looks, and his looks are terrifying. And he's a gentle guy. He's a man of faith. And he wants people to like him, and yet he looks like a demon. That's a disability. But if you soft pedal that or make it diminish it in some way, shape, or form, you don't get Kurt Wagner. Because it's our abilities and disabilities that make us who we are. And so when you go to write somebody like Matt Murdock, who has a deep abiding faith, understand that faith, and let them keep it. You know, don't deconstruct it or have them do evil things because you don't like their faith. But understand what the faith is, understand what they believe, and understand how that affects their day-to-day. And if they have a disability, understand the disability and the abilities that it gives them, and write accordingly. So that's the writing challenges. So, it's time to close the door. Time to close the drawer on our friend here. 1 second. All right. Here's another comment from Wagner. I wish I could be half as good a man as Kurt Wagner. Yeah. When they wrote him right. There's a moment in the X-Men cartoon where he prays with Wolverine. Yeah. I didn't know that happened. I must have missed that episode, but I saw it online, and I'm like, that didn't happen. Yep, it happened. That's back when they wrote stuff. They wrote stuff well. I miss those days. Had somebody try to talk me into restoring my faith to the mainstream for a little bit, and I was like, it's not going to happen. You know, we can't go back to that. I love that episode. Yeah, it's a powerful episode. Very powerful episode. But you know, closing the drawer on Matt Murdock, Daredevil. Daredevil is one of the most complicated, fascinating, nuanced characters, and you think that he would be kind of like one note because of his faith, but his faith makes him even more interesting. Because he's a devil who prays in a church every chance he gets. He's a vigilante who's also a defense attorney who will defend some of the people that he puts in jail. He's blind because justice is blind, but he has so many senses that he might be able to see better than most people around him. But yet he can't tell what the color of things are because it's radar. He is extremely loyal, but he winds up screwing people around all the time. Even though he's loyal, he always seems to get put in situations where he's got to make a bad choice, which is why he spends a lot of time in the confessional. But he's basically just an interesting, complicated, beautiful character. The movie with Ben Affleck was good. The director's cut, they just carved a whole that movie up to put it in theaters, but the director's cut is a good movie. The television series from Netflix, all 3 seasons are solid. Now, the one that just did on Disney Plus has issues, so I've been told. I don't have Disney Plus and I haven't pirated it, so I can't tell you for sure. But that series from Netflix, including Defenders, I liked Defenders. Some people didn't like it, but I liked it. It's a good series. It's a real good series. I highly suggest that Daredevil series. If you want to know about Daredevil, they just do it about as well as you can do it. And also that movie was good. Now, there's a television movie that happened in the 80s. It was Trial of the Incredible Hulk. And it had the same character. The guy who played Matt Murdock was the same guy that played the pilot of Street Hawk, the super motorcycle television show, which I really liked. But he was decent on that one. I do. Sigourney Weaver was wasted in Defenders. I agree with that. I think she was too old to do what they needed her to do, to be honest. Anyway, that television show, it's got Bill Bixby in it. It's got the guy who plays Kingpin is the actor who plays the dwarf in Lord of the Rings. He also plays Sala in the Indiana Jones movies. John Rhys Davis, I think that's his name. But he plays the Kingpin in that. But it's a pretty good representation of Daredevil. It didn't annoy me as bad as it did for a lot of people. But it was supposed to be a television series, but it didn't quite take off. But so that's depictions, and he's been in all throughout cartoons. He's never really had his own cartoon, but he's been guest stars all throughout. And I think he's supposed to be officially part of the MCU at this point. But he just hadn't appeared in like any of the big properties yet, except for he was Spider-Man's defense attorney and No Way Home. He has a real cool moment where somebody throws a brick and he catches it before it gets to Peter. And Peter's like, I didn't even sense that coming. How did you do that? He's like, I'm a very good attorney. I love Charlie Cox, man. He is also Daredevil. Anyway, so it's just a great character. Great, they can't ever write him right anymore, but just a great character. We still have the past comics. My favorite character of Daredevil, favorite comic of Daredevil at all time was one shot where he fought Claw, the creature that's made out of Sonic. Okay, so you got a guy who's really sensitive hearing fighting a guy who is a Sonic being. So yeah, he had trouble. He had a lot of trouble with that one. But the way that they resolved it, I won't spoil it for you. Look it up. It's a great comic. But the way they resolved it was really clever. And only Daredevil could have resolved it that way. So anyway, yeah, Daredevil, great character. Matt Murdock's one of my favorites. And so that is, we're going to close the drawer on Daredevil. Thank y'all for coming. The Matt Murdock, the drawer is closed. I'm going to be on shortly with John's Lone Box on his show very shortly at 7 o'clock. I'll see you guys then. Got one more from Wrangler right quick. Too bad Vincent D'Onofrio can't appear in the movies too. It's the whole Sony Marvel contract thing because Kingpin still technically belongs to Spider-Man property. Oh, okay. Gotcha. He is a great Kingpin. He is a great, great Kingpin. Good night, everybody. God bless. We will see you next time. Follow the White Rabbit and have a great night. Bye, everybody.